I'm rolling.
Okay, so can you say your name for me and spell it out?
Sure. My name is Leigh-Ann Hinion, and that's Leigh, separate word, capital ANNHENION.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then, so where are you from?
I live just outside of Boone, North Carolina.
How long have you lived there for?
I've lived in that house for 10 years, and I've lived in Boone proper for 20 years.
Wow, that's a long time to live in Boone. So, like, you've pretty much, like, kind of, like, embraced the river, like, throughout your life, kind of, for the past 20 years?
Yeah, so I actually went to summer camp outside of Boone. I went to summer camp at Camp Broadstone out in Valley Crucis. And when I was a really young child, I really connected with the Watauga River because that's where the camp is located. But living on the New River for the past 10 years, I really have connected with the New. So years ago, I had a friend who told me, he said, oh yeah, you know, the old timers can tell how high the river is just looking at a single rock. And I was like, man, that's amazing. And now I think I'm an old timer because I have specific rocks. I could tell you a lot just by looking at the river in association with that stone.
Wait, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So do you like live near the river? Like near
So I live on the river. I live on the South Fork of the New. Yeah.
So it like runs through your backyard sort of thing?
It runs through my backyard.
Awesome. How do you think that like...
Excuse me, one second. Audrey, pause for like at least 2 seconds between the end of her answer and your question.
Okay, sorry.
It's just pausing.
It works. It's working. It's working for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Protein does my body
We're
good.
Aubrey.
We're good?
Okay.
Okay, so the New River is in your backyard. How do you think that's affected like your family, especially like your kid and growing up around that?
Well, when you live on the New River, the South Fork of the New River, you start to really pay attention to and understand how much of a public resource the river is. So the river is in my backyard, but the river isn't mine. It's very much ours. So, you know, I get to see people kayaking, sometimes they're fly fishermen in the water. And when you are able to see that on a daily basis, and when you're able to see it in your own space, in your own environment, I think it really helps you to absorb how the rivers connect us, how they connect us all. You know, it's raining right now, and so when the rains come, you can see the effects of all of the tributaries. Like everything starts to come in, and you can see the colors change, and so you start thinking about the sedimentation that's coming into the river. So you all sorts of little nuances that you start to notice, and so there's that. The river actually, the tributaries coming together to have a cohesive river, and then also there are people coming together to enjoy it. And so, you know, the land probably officially goes to the center of the river, but the water belongs to all of us.
That's awesome. That's really great. So like, was there ever like a moment where you were like, wow, this really does, like, it comes from upstream, like these people are affecting me, like, where is there ever like that moment where it just is like hit you? / can you describe that moment for us?
So, well, so I've seen a few pretty big floods, and you know, sometimes when there's a flood, you'll start to see small things coming down the river, and then you'll start to see larger things coming down the river. And I have a 6-year-old son, you know, get his binoculars out, and we'll be watching what's going down the river. You know, you'll see coolers, you'll start to see things that kind of make sense, maybe things people have just left alongside the river. Then you'll start to see big pieces of metal that you can tell were off of travel trailers. So maybe there was like a trailer park or something that was close to the river, that the river's it's taking it all, you know. And so you start thinking about that, and then it's like signs. I mean, you just all sorts of things that just get picked up by the river. So you think about like a private property sign or a no trespassing sign, and you imagine that going down the river. You can see it going down the river. And in that moment, it's hard not to think about how the river belongs to us all, how it shapes the land as it's moving continually, as it has for so long. And we're witnessing that, and we're part of it. And it's all of our heritage, and it's all of our river.
Awesome. That's so great. Yeah, I understand that. That's really cool. So, like, do you do any activism yourself with the river?
Well, you know, I don't know if I would call myself an activist. If I was going to think about how I'm an activist, I would maybe say that I hope I'm an activist for wonder. So I have actually been called a nature evangelist, and I'm taking that. I'm going to take that title because if I am an activist, it's hopefully in a way that can help people get excited about what they're seeing. Because, you know, I think that wonder is actually an underappreciated emotion. I think we don't value it as we could, but I think it's at the root of a lot of improvement. It's at the root of a lot of what drives us to act. So, you know, when you start seeing how everything is connected, when you really start looking at it, I mean, it's marvelous. So I went to see the overwintering site of the monarch butterfly in Mexico in 2007. And so that experience really affected my life. So I saw something wondrous, right? But so when I'm in my backyard, when I'm on the banks of the New River, and I see a monarch butterfly around this time of year, so around, you know, September, I know that butterfly is headed to Mexico. And I know the very specific spot where it's headed to. And that makes me marvel. That makes me feel an absolute sense of wonder. And so you think about that butterfly on the bank of the New River flying to Mexico. I'm connected to that migration even when I'm standing in my yard. And when I'm standing in my yard next to the New River, I'm connected to everything that came from upstream, and I'm connected to everything that's going downstream. And that to me is motivating to protect and to honor those cycles.
Awesome. So how do you, like... Okay, so, like, how do you see the community rallying around the New River and protecting it?
How have I seen them do that, or?
Well, how have you seen it? How do you see it in your everyday life?
Well, a lot of times the community will get together to, you know, clean up the river, so trash days basically. So that happens pretty regularly. And, you know, so we do just my family and some friends, we do, sometimes we do big float trips, kayaks, canoes, people in tubes, and sometimes we'll take an extra tube or an extra boat and we'll start filling it up with stuff that we find. So there's this actual sort of gathering of things that, you know, sometimes are just swept in to the river by flooding and things like that. And then so it was a good answer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
So, like, do you have any, like, specific stories for, like, how, like, a time that you felt really in tune with the river and, like, in touch with it and, like, it's really, like, impacted you and changed your life?
I think that every day, we have a family saying, it's a day on the river is a good day. And I really feel like that is true. So sometimes, you know, I'm feeling tired or, you know, not exactly sure. Maybe it's a little chilly or something and I'm not sure if I want to take a river trip, but always when I go through it and I get on the river, I feel better for doing it. And really, I mean, anytime, it doesn't even take a river trip, anytime I walk down to the river and I take time to really just focus on a tiny area of the river. It's not even just about the grandiose beauty. Sometimes it's just about a tiny little section and about snails, and about how the snails are telling me that the river is clean in this section, and about finding, you know, little crawdads, and you know, just all of the drama that happens in 5 square inches of river space. It's extraordinary, and I think it's awe-inspiring, and it really, every time I take time to do that, it's a reminder that no matter what I'm doing, no matter how electronically dependent my lifestyle is, the river is real, and it's there, and I am part of it. I'm connected to it.
Does it make you feel more connected to the community as a whole, as surrounding the river?
I think that the river helps me feel part of a community, and it's not just a human community, but the larger community. So my neighbors, for sure, and I will tell you, you know, when you live on the river, as when you live in the Appalachians, you really, there are certain times where you become dependent on neighbors. So when there's a flood, and the road is in danger of being washed out, and somebody has to go out with flashlights and track you down. That happens. So there's a real support network that's required sometimes, you know, in winter and different times of year, but with the river specifically with flooding. So I think it connects not only to your human community, but to recognize that part of a larger community of beings and living things.
Gotcha. So, let's see. What else? How does it make you feel about like all the pollution that's going into the river, and like how that impacts you and your life and the future, like with your son and everything?
So, after a big rain, there's a specific little tributary that comes into the river very close to where I live. So, when there's a big rain, the river will be sort of, it depends on the season, because in winter it turns this odd shade sort of like almost Arctic blue, and there's ice. But you know, so in fall it's a, you know, it's a dark sort of gray. But then in the heavy rain, this one little tributary, this is one stream, but that one little stream, I know the houses that it goes by because the road sort of follows it, and so I've sort of followed it, and I've also walked up the tributary. But when the rains come, there's like a little stripe in the river, so it's gray. And then there's a little stripe, and it's a stripe, it's brown. And so it hasn't quite mixed in because it's so fresh, it's coming in, and I can see it. I can watch where it comes in, and where all of that sedimentation and the dirt and things that have the potential to affect the health of things downstream, I can see it happening, and then it starts to dissipate. And then you can't quite tell where that source of pollution came from. It's just part of the murkiness that grows. And so I think that when you are able to see that, it's affecting. I think air pollution, a lot of times with air pollution, we can't see it. And so we have a hard time understanding or really feeling motivated to act on it. And I think that one of the gifts of the river is that it shows us, if we're paying attention, we can see these things. We can look for the snails. We can, you know, it's talking to us, you know, it's communicating things if we're paying attention to it. I don't know. I really went crazy on that one. Okay.
I'm wondering
Yeah.
whether it might be a good idea in the time we have if we went to your house. How far is your house from here?
I don't want my house on
No,
TV.
I actually want to see you and your rock, the rock you talked about.
How high the river?
How long would it take to get there? Just your rock. I just want to go to the river and the rock next to your house that you.
Oh, you mean you just want, like, you just want to like
I
focus?
don't want to just see the rock. I want to see the rock, but I want you to talk. You talk about how the rock.
We want you and the river.
Yeah.
Together.
I want to tie you to the river, and also to the rock that you mentioned. The big
And throw
rock.
you in the river.
We're gonna tie you to the rock and
Throw you in the river.
in the rain.
Well, it's not that. I mean, it's like maybe it's not far. I mean, it's like 20 minutes, or not even. Like,
20?
it's not. It's like toward.
Okay.
Did I say action? I don't think I did.
Okay. Come on.
Come
I
on,
want
you're
another
killing me
six.
here.
Okay.
All right,
This is
all
kind
right,
of
guys, we're using the real audio in the background here.
Just like think about your dinner tonight.
You got your
That'd be
hands
good.
in the air like you're gonna
Okay.
fly.
Sorry,
What's
I
it-
know.
Back
You
up,
told
back
me
up a
if I
little
sing.
bit.
Okay.
Back up a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna get a bullhorn. And action. Hands by your side. Action. You're doing great. Don't look at me, please. Thank you. Look down at the river.
Okay.
Stand by. Action. Okay. Get out of the.
I know. How can we? Here. Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Alright, I have your umbrella.
I think everybody else here. I'm like, talk to everybody else.
Okay, it's just Lyndon.
I think the planters are there with the red part is Linden.
Let me show you. Good. Okay, I'm no longer here, except for the foot that's in the shot.
And we're on.
No talking. So I can't do any underwater.
Catching there.
I probably can
Suggest if we can go out here.
Yeah, I can't go too much
Water
deeper.
flow. Well,
Yeah.
we're not going to go deep. We're just going to go
Okay,
around.
yeah,
See,
let's
like
try
right
it.
there?
Let's try it.
That's right.
How do you think the cameramen with Smarty Stouffer got all their shots? Wild America.
Not easy seeing the bottom, is it? You're doing good.
No, I just want to
If
make
you
sure.
go this way, there's nothing.
I don't want to mess up the shot. Stop!
Ain't no water moccasins here. Jake hit him too?
Hang on. There you go. Just leave it sit. Good. Perfect. this corner weighing 3 ounces.
See if I can keep him calm. No, he's going. Alright, push in the other direction.
So there's no way that we can have like a net pin in and get him?
We can try. There you go. You get something there?
A little bit. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can just put him up there and go across a bit. Yeah. Bring it further back to the left.
Sure.
I'll look to the table. So, a little bit further back. Let me go. Gotta get your hand out. Give me one more and just get your hand out here.
Yeah.
I know you're trying not to steer in.
Hey, didn't I just do this? I gotta make sure that he goes forward too.
Yeah.
Come on, go forward.
Let's come to the camera.
Oh, that's good.
Start one more time.
Sure.
You can put the TV net if you can, but
Yeah. Might be a little shallow for that, but we can try. Go that way.
it's almost like you just keep, gotta keep covering with the net.
What did I say about working with animals? And
Yeah,
children?
oh yeah, no. Animals
You want it with the net? He's a ham. Oh, there you go. Oh, you got him. You want to back him into the net?
Yep. Put it where you want.
Right?
Give me one more, we're done.
Kind of wind is easier.
Pull him back if you can. As soon as you get tuck it back further. Let's go.
That work?
Booyah!